politics or your greed, or the high taxes of Quebec. My family built this land from old European roots, from Red River to the Rockies. I'll say this once, so listen close. You can take your feds and leave. Stay free, Alberta. I will not bow my knee or give my freedom to Ottawa. I will not bow my knee. I see the scars in the land from your war, from Fort Calgary to your last stand, to the last battle at Batoche. Now my sons are grown, and we will stand our ground. The next rebellion will not fail. I'll say this once, so listen close. You can take your feds and leave. Stay free, Alberta. I will not bow my knee or give my freedom to Ottawa. I will not bow my knee.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in to the show. I gotta fix my hat. I'm Jay LaFosse, and this is Alberta Radio show. This is I'm really glad to be back doing my live streams or my podcast videos. Let's correct that. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to say this, folks. The last couple weeks has really changed the outlook I have on so much. It's just being with everyone and going to the rallies, meeting all the followers that follow my page, talking to just regular Albertans who are upset with a lot of things that are going on, and they're coming to me with it, and it's an amazing experience. I just want to say that, and I want to thank everybody for really opening up my eyes and seeing things differently, especially the last cut. It's actually changed my life. I was telling that to my brother Tyson today. So a couple things we're going to talk about this morning on the show is the fact, well, the mainstream media is reporting now that the independence movement is somehow being led or funded by Americans and Russia. And it's just absolutely absurd to even think that. Now, I'm going to bring up the clip or the information here. Just give me a second. All right, here we go. So here, Global News is reporting that we have some type of connection with foreign adversaries like Russia, meddling in the Alberta separatist debate in ways that threaten Canada's sovereignty and national security, warns a report released Wednesday. Now, I'm just going to touch on a couple things here before we get into the next thing. Who's behind this media propaganda blitz? Um, First of all, Canada is not a sovereign nation because Canada just assigned a new Governor General where our Prime Minister ran to the King. And pretty much anything that happens in Canada through parliamentary process and proceedings, including the King's Privy Council, is always running to the King. So how can Canada be a sovereign nation and worry about so-called national security if we are part of England? That's the question. Now, who's behind the propaganda of this information that's being blitzed today by Global, CTV, and the Globe and Mail? Well, guess what? It's no other than, guess who? Jason Kenney. Now, this here is a sovereignty at stake, which is going to be in Toronto. Online disinformation in Canadian democracy. Now, the person behind this, because it was taken from this article of the people who are behind this, is Marcus Kolga and Jenny Phillips. Now, Marcus and Jenny are hosting this event with Jason Kenney, blitzing propaganda about Albertans who want independence, trying to say that we are connected to foreign adversaries like Russia and all this stuff. But yet Kenney is continuously promoting Ukraine. And the problem right now that Canadians have is there's just too much money going to Ukraine. And if you look and account for the money that has been given to Ukraine, it could have actually innovated Canada, strengthened Canada's resilience and innovation, and moved our country forward. And Canadians would have been happy. But instead, people like Jason Kenney and the federal government and those who align themselves with war are stealing Canadian tax dollars to fund wars in another country against Russia. Now, do I agree with the war? Absolutely not. I think war is horrible. But at least we have to recognize who are behind the propaganda machine, who's the one that are constantly attacking, and we've got to expose these people. So when I see Jason Kenney attending these events hosted by these people who are pushing this nonsense with, Marcus Kolja and Dr. Jenny Phillips and Dr. Brian McQuinn, who are all basically have I call it lame doctorates with no meaning. And they go out and write reports, and it dictates the nation, and it dictates policy, or it's a form of lobbying. And then you have politicians like Jason Kenney who go out there and use, creds with Stephen Harper and stuff. Now, Stephen Harper is not involved in this, just want to make that clear. But to use, and say, oh, well, Jason Kenney served 25, yeah, he did serve, and yeah, he did work for Stephen Harper, but to emphasize that information is just absurd when you're totally against the collective. I think we should out Jason Kenney. I believe Jason Kenney has been detrimental at dividing Alberta, just like the feds. I think he's a federalist. He has no support for Albertans. And then, you ask yourselves why Jason Kenney's no longer the Premier of Alberta. I'm just saying. But I just wanted to showcase this information today. This is just one thing. Now, on the X side, I've been, basically I go on and I check for some information to see what's going on. And, here's some more stuff about Canada. Honda is planning to halt its plan for the $15 billion EV plant. They're putting a stop to it. Jeez, look at that. So more money wasted, and more lies by the Liberals. It gives more reason to emphasize on why Albertans should leave Canada, why all provinces should remove itself from the Confederacy so that we can have a working republic. It doesn't work anymore, the parliamentary system. It's an outdated dinosaur brought in by the king, by the monarchs of England. And look what's going on in England. They can't even keep it together. I mean, they got thought police out there arresting people who believe in God. It's unbelievable. So I wanted to show that today. Now, the other thing too I want to talk about is the momentum within the independence movement right now. Yes, we got over 300,000 signatures, and we believe that we're not going to even have 1% attrition on that, meaning that most of the signatures, I'd say 99.9% of the signatures are going to be solidified because of how we got our signatures. And as a canvasser for Stay Free Alberta, I mean, our role was to make sure that we had followed the rules of Elections Alberta, making sure that we were verifying every signature with physical ID, with a physical address and a contact, so that could be verified from Elections Alberta. And when you look at how we got our signatures versus Forever Canadian under Thomas Lukaszuk, Thomas Lukaszuk had over 50,000 signatures disqualified from his petition. Should have been that petition should have been disqualified. And the reason for that is they didn't have to verify ID, so they could just write anything they want. I strongly believe, in my own opinion, that some of these canvassers for Forever Canadian turned around and fidged signatures, put a bunch of signatures that are just, so that's what I believe right now. I think it's fraudulent, and I think that whenever we have a situation with petitions as such where we get a high amount like that disqualified, I think the entire petition should be disqualified. And that brings me to the next thing as to maybe potentially why the Premier and the Legislative Assembly is not really entertaining Thomas Lukaszuk's petition because of that, right? And the radical activism and the constant barrage of political attacks on the Premier and the UCP, and just smear campaigning citizens, I never thought I'd see the day where we would have leaders start attacking the public domain and start attacking citizens and saying, oh, just because this citizen is speaking up and people are supporting that citizen, oh, we're going to call him a racist and call him a bigot and call him a transphobe and all these horrible things. Like, you see where I'm getting at? So that's absolutely unacceptable in the public domain or within our collective period. Our leaders who get elected, or the leaders that are put in positions of leadership, should always respect the public domain and should always listen to the people, because they're in the position that was mandated for them to do. And what we've seen is a 360 and basically attack the collective because they're not getting what they want. What's really interesting is when I see content creators or even just regular citizens who make posts on social media and get more traction than politicians. Right? That's been a common occurrence in the last year, just in the last year alone. And when guys like me, I want to participate in the public domain in terms of serving the people, so I'm going out there networking with different forms of political groups, not NDP, just APP and Stay Free Alberta, the UCP, and because we're all conservative, that's the one thing. But learning from everybody and seeing where do I fit in, where I can serve the people and stay united with our collective, and basically it's boiled down to just our conservative base. So when you have other elected officials who see that you're doing good with your platform, like me and right now, I'll just refer to myself. I am very proud of what I've done with Alberta Radio in terms of building up our following and getting myself out there. But it's all about the people. For me, it's always going to be about the people. So when I have other politicians and other MLAs that come up to me and say, hey, I didn't know that you were a conservative content creator. And I just I chuckle a little bit because it's not really about conservative. It's just about the people, really. But when they say to me and ask me, can I come on and do an interview with you? Because we really got to get our messaging out and da-da-da-da-da. I actually find that a little comical, but I understand. And I agree with them, because some of the stuff that needs to be presented in the public forum needs to be presented in a public forum with common sense, where the people will resonate with the change that we want to change, from the people, right? So I asked the folks, well, what is it that you want to present, right? What is it that would be valuable for my listeners, my viewers, my followers, that will resonate with them? And they did their spiel to me, and I was like, wow, that will resonate with you folks. So that's where I'm very selective at, and the reason why I haven't done very many interviews is because I felt I wasn't ready, and I just needed to research, to actually take the time to network and get to know people and figure out what is good for us, the people, and what do the people want, and how can I turn that into something that is presentable to you, the viewers and the followers who watch my show or listen to my broadcasts. Because I've learned something detrimental for me is what I've learned. This is, To become a strong leader, okay, sometimes you have to sit back and observe what other leaders are doing. And you have to learn from their mistakes as well as your own mistakes. So sometimes it's better to take a hot seat back for a while, put the extra time in, and understand what everybody's trying to do, understand some of the flaws that you can perfect from, and be a strong leader so that when you start going out there and resonating with the folks, you're talking about what folks want and find the solutions that is pretty much what everybody's been talking about. Simple things. Common sense, it's just morally right to do, right? And there's processes within the system that we can use to make that happen. So when I see the other leaders, and the reason why I step back is because I've also watched leaders implode. I've watched good leaders who I thought were going to make it far, and it's not to discredit them or anything, and then they fail, and they're no longer with us. And I learned from that too, because it's important to learn the strategy of the chessboard you're about to play, right? That's the thing. And you got to remember that you don't want to do things that are going to make you fail, knowing that it's failed before. And you got to always be on top of it, 10 steps ahead of everybody else, sometimes 20. But have the ability to research and investigate every move that you're going to make. And that's what I've been doing for the last few years. And it's come with controversy on my end, and some people didn't like the way I did some things, and I get it, but it's just I had to do it for me. And now, the last couple of weeks, it's really changed my outlook on things, and I've humbled myself a lot more. And I want to take a new direction where it's absolutely a must that I have ambition to run for office. So my thing is, it's an absolute must that I get the mandate from all the people, regardless if it's left, right, center. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, everybody's input will come to a center scope to find a common ground so that everybody wins, and we are finding the solution that works for all of us, not just one group of citizens. So I'm entertaining now moving forward that everybody, you can contact me. And I'm not going to be like responsive like I used to be. I actually want to engage with people. I actually want to earn the vote from people who don't support me and people who don't believe in me, people that question. I want to earn their vote because their votes I consider are moderates, and that's the most important absolute vote that any politician can earn. That solidifies and strengthens your base. So I'm strategizing right now on this whole thing, and I want people to understand that. So I'm going to be out there doing more coverage on issues that matter to Albertans. Just recently, I know I did the video where it was the gas stations, and yes, I could have did the video a little better, but it really went viral. And the thing is, it's true. Like when we look at our energy sector, and all of this is true, we need to have some type of mechanism in place so that it's balanced in the industry for consumers and for distributors and wholesalers. And it's not balanced fairly. And when you're seeing that these gas giants are filling up their tanks at the beginning of the week, paying, let's say, whatever cheap, and the gas should be at let's say in Alberta should be $1.14 max. Okay, let's use that for an example. So for that entire week that gas is in the tank, the gas price shouldn't change at all, but it does. It fluctuates because of OPEC regulations, right? So what we need to do is if these gas stations are buying it at an X price on day one, and it's in the tank up to, let's say, 5 to 7 days, then while that gas is in the tank, then the gas price should be the same gas price throughout that time until the gas is done or close to being done. And then the price would change based on the rack price or OPEC. But at the same time, we have to understand that a lot of what they propagate to raise the prices of gas and excuses is absolutely absurd. Hence the Iranian war. We've been in this war for, the U.S. has been at war with Iran for, about a month now, maybe a little longer. And lately, the prices of gas is going up, trying to blame the Strait of Hormuz and all this stuff. But How come we still have gas being delivered to our pumps? No problem. Right? But the gas keeps going up and they keep using that excuse, but we're still getting a flow of gas. So you'd think, if it was true that what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz causing delivery problems to all the rest of the world, shouldn't we see that right now? Shouldn't we see lineups of cars and running out of gas right now to dictate the price? Wake up, people. This isn't 1970s where we actually had an energy crisis where people were lined up at gas pumps. It's not like that right now. So I like to point that out. Now, what was else? Oh yeah, so let's I'm gonna showcase one of my songs that I've been writing music, right? So I try to make sure that I'm writing music to avoid using other people's music getting copyright infringements. So I took all my old tracks from the last 20 years and been working with my friend John, and we've been just building them up, redoing them from scratch, taking the hooks and melodies and modernizing them. And we've been really doing a great job, both of us, at this. And we got some really solid remixers. So what I'm doing is I'm able to use that music and put it on the show. I'm also encouraging other content creators and Albertans who are music artists. And the rule is this. If you are using a distribution to put your stuff on Spotify and distribute it to the stores, I can't play it on my show. I get hit. But if it's something that's unreleased and you haven't distributed it yet, then I can play it. But you also have to give me an exclusive little blurb in your email giving me exclusive rights to play in the event that in the future that I get struck with a copyright infringement. I can refer to that email, submit it, and then the distros will release the claim. Now, you're still monetized making money for me playing it at the point of distribution. It's just the copyright infringement puts a strike on our content. So when we contest it, we put it as shared, as a shared mechanical rate. Or not a mechanical rate, but a shared play rate. And they release it, and usually they'll send an email to the artist asking. And that's what's happened. All our claims that we've had, I'm glad to say this, have been all released. I'm so happy about that. Because it happened to me. I actually took somebody's track, we played it, and we got an infringement, and I contested it. So that's why I'm saying send us your music that's not released, and we will feature it. If you have a video that you've made even with AI, I don't care. Send it to me. I'll put the video up and put it into intermission and showcase Alberta artists from all different genres of music, because that's what's going to really bring our community and show the secularism of Alberta, right? That's important because it's about our culture. It's about who we are. And music and arts is part of that. That's part of our base. So there's been so many great music artists that have come out of Alberta. I mean, it's insane. So I know that we have a huge base of artists here that are unsigned, untouched, that want their music played, that want to be heard. And I'm going to be offering that to all of you. So just send me your stuff, jason@albertaradio.ca. And I'll put it up and schedule it to play. So, like I said, I'm going to play one of my tracks for an intermission, and then we'll come right back.
We are the digital gods. We are the digital gods. We are the digital gods.
We are the digital gods.
We are the digital gods.
We are the digital gods.
We are the digital gods.
We are the digital gods.
We are the digital gods.
We are the digital gods.
It's the rise of the tech and the death of the age. All our people connected, we're turning the page. Falling men to the pits with no future in sight. They say the kingdom is ending, we're starting tonight. We are legion. We are the digital gods. You can find us somewhere deep in the cloud, and the revolution starts now. We are legion. We are the digital gods. You can find us somewhere das, da das, da das, da das, da das.
We are the digital gods.
We are the digital gods.
We're building a life that we wish to be living. We're bringing the life and we're calling it living. We're building a life that we wish to be living. We're bringing the life and we're calling it living.
Can you hear the people scream? They're not who they used to be. Can you hear the people scream? They've become something more. Can you hear the people scream? They're not who they used to be. Can you hear the people scream? They've become something more.
All right, so that is my latest track with John Wikkened. I go by AC3. It's not Ace like LaFace. It's actually just AC3. And yeah, we've been putting some music up, so we should have our music released on Spotify very soon. I actually completed an entire full album, folks, in the last couple months on my spare time with John. We worked with some artists out of a Christian organization in Texas that provided us some really solid vocalists for our stuff, and we also got some really good remixers out of the Netherlands. And I'm very proud to say that once we released and dropped this album, I don't even care about make money. I just want people to listen to it. That's it, because it's the best work I've ever produced in my entire life, with new tools, new DAWs, and working with such an amazing producer and sound engineer. So it's. Yeah, so anyways, the album release is called Above It All, and right now you can check out my SoundCloud, which I really don't share too much, but I will post a link on my socials so you guys can go and check out the music that we have, because we dropped a few singles from the album itself for free, and you can download it for free. So we're going to still have it in the stores, but I'm going to offer it on SoundCloud. The entire album is going to be able to be downloaded for free, because I want to get my name out there, right? I love music, and music for me is a universal religion that brings people together. Absolutely. So anyways, let's go back onto the main line of the day and see what's going on. So I wanted to bring up a couple articles, actually. Give me a second here. We're going to go back a little bit about what we're covering in terms of some articles that I wrote. Now, the one that I would like to showcase here is about Benita Pedersen. And Benita right now is going to be facing the Human Rights Tribunal over handing out flyers, right? So I'll read you the article. Now, as an Alberta woman known for her tireless community work is now facing a Human Rights Tribunal complaint after distributing flyers that opposed a proposed rainbow crosswalk in Westlock. The case is raising serious concerns about free speech and weaponization of human rights processes against everyday Albertans who speak up for common sense. Now, Benita Pedersen, who's a dedicated Westlock area resident DJ, children's entertainer, event organizer. I mean, she's done a lot for volunteering for Stay Free Alberta, for a UCP base, for a conservative base. She does a lot of work, man. Now, she's being represented by the JCCF, which is the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. So in 2023, she helped distribute flyers, urging residents to contact council and voice opposition to the Rainbow Crosswalk project, and with a clear call to cancel the Rainbow Crosswalk. Now, I agree, because in the last 10 years, that's all it's been. Rainbows, 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 and this and that, and this and that. Like, we get it. But the base concept of that belief is about sexualization, glorifying your sexual preference, glorifying who you sleep with. And you're throwing that in the public domain and going after children, trying to get children to celebrate who they're going to sleep with. That's exactly what this is. So it's perversion. Now, I agree with Benita. It's not about gender ideology or having the right of who you want to be. It's the perversion of the messaging that is not acceptable in a public domain, especially for kids. Okay, and we've had enough with that being always priority over us. That's what's happened here. We've taken issues of minority issues, which are rightfully need to be addressed, but at the same time, they shouldn't take precedence over everything else that's more important, right? So it's just morality. Now, Benita, she's been working a lot. I had a pleasure working with her throughout COVID and on different stuff, and attended her rally in Edmonton. She's a determined voice that many in our province rely on. There's not just me. I mean, other groups rely on her. She's our go-to if we need stuff done. And she's always energetic. She's always enthusiastic, and she's always kind to everybody. You know what I mean? So with that, when you meet Benita, like, you're gonna smile because she always has that big smile. Like, and the reason why we say this is because that's who she is. I mean, even the premier recognized her and gave her an award of excellence for being such a great conservative citizen and individual who's put a lot of time in volunteering. Right? She's definitely outstanding in service for our Alberta communities. Now, this human rights complaint, it appears to be a little more than a political witch hunt, because it's happening in BC, and there was another individual got fined, I think, $750,000 for something similar. It's just absolute weaponization of the Human Rights Commission. Now, this is driven by those who prioritize ideological agendas over community input and biological reality. That's what it boils down to right now. And in my opinion, and it's not to cause a debate or anything, but in my opinion, I think that most of what's happening in the last 6 years with this ideologies and stuff has been an onset of too many kids playing Xbox with different profiles and stuff. I'm just saying, it's too much video games. That's just my opinion. So anyways, what they're doing, in our view, it reflects an effort by certain Westlock figures. So, City Councillor Lori Hodge is the one who's behind this complaint. She does not support, common sense. She wants to support policies that all of us recognize and see that it's sexualizing our kids in schools and promoting non-scientific ideas that contradict basic human biology. That's it, right? Now, Pedersen and others in Westlock simply stood for political neutral public spaces and the right of residents to have their voices heard through democratic processes. Because right now what we're seeing is one side gets all. How can it be democratic if you're not listening to the other side, so that we have a fair process, so everybody gets heard? And that's where I said, they're taking priority on minority groups and weaponizing them and taking them to the full extent, and then shutting everyone else down, which is the majority. So in this case in Westlock, the majority was heard. Now, the town ultimately held a plebiscite and voted for a neutrality bylaw showing clear community preference, and that's where the people had a strong voice. So cases like this, they highlight growing worries about selective enforcement of human rights laws, and it seems to silence dissent on cultural issues, while ignoring a broader community programs or concerns. Now, I believe strongly in protecting free expression, parental rights, and logical evidence-based approaches to public policy. I'm all about that. We have to have common sense, and we can't be just like living in some other reality or delusion and trying to bring that into the real world reality. And then that's just, what are you doing? That's, you're confusing the masses in that sense. And I think it's a form of propaganda and subversion. Now, I stand with Benita, and I hope everybody else. I encourage all Albertans to stand behind Benita in this witch hunt, I call it, because she values common sense, morality, and protecting children. That's what she does, and we all need to support her and others who are brave enough to speak out on this matter. So people like Benita, who invest countless hours in community building, deserve thanks, and they don't deserve any kind of harassment or doxing or berangement or any of all that stuff that's going on with a lot of folks who stand up like her, and not be harassed through the tribunals. So I'm just going to say, we're going to keep following the story. Benita and I have been in contact, and I do plan on bringing her on for an interview about this soon. Also, I'm going to post some video links that Benita sent me so I can update my article. You guys can read it. And you guys can go to albertaradio.ca and just click on the news section. And you'll see all the articles I write. I have to write some new ones because I've been really busy lately, but I do write quite a bit. And there's another one I wanted to show you guys. And this is about the NDP, because we're going to shift that to the NDP stuff. And I had a lot of views on that. Here it is. I wrote this last year, November 16th, 2025. I had over 6,500 views on this article, and it opened up the eyes of a lot of people here in Alberta. And I'm going to go back to this because what's going on right now, and I am going to comment about what I think about the Centurion Project and what's going on. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. First, let's start at the beginning, what we uncovered last year. Now, my team, I have a very select few individuals that I've been working with throughout since 1996. And we stick together and we've never broke. And we all believe in justice for humanity. We believe in common sense and morality. We believe in order and responsibility. So what's happening right now in the public domain with political atmosphere and all this, it's so horrible. And what we like to do is expose the corruption and bring accountability. So what we did is we exposed the underbelly. And these are allegations of corruption, ideological extremism within the Alberta NDP and its affiliated organizations like Forever Canadian or Forever Canada with Thomas Lukaszuk, Phil McGowan with the Federal Labor Union, CUPE and the NDP, and the ATA with Jason Schilling in that. So I have a follow-up article that I wrote after this. So in the heart of our oil-rich province, Alberta's political landscape has been a battleground between conservative values and progressive ideologies. While the United UCP Party, Conservative Party, currently holds power, the opposition, which is the NDP, and its allied organizations like the Teachers Association, ATA, the CUPE, and the CLC, the Canadian Labour Congress, they've all faced persistent allegations of corruption, nepotism, favoritism, money laundering, and promotion of Marxism or communist ideologies. That's a fact. These claims are often amplified on social media and in conservative circles, and it paints a picture of entrenched networks that prioritize ideological agendas over public interest. And that's what we're seeing today. There's been so many discussions on this all over social media. Now, my article examines the accusations and to shed light on the potential of systematic issues, and just note that while some of the allegations are unproven, they highlight concerns about transparency and accountability in the left-leaning institutions here in our province. So the socialist roots and the accusations of corruption. The NDP, we all know, has historic ties to socialist principles, which, a lot of critics argue it's more on broader Marxist ideologies. The party's original constitution describes it as a socialist entity, with connections to broader Canadian socialist movements. And you can check that out. I mean, there's a whole thing about the NDP. And I worked for Jack Layton when he was alive. So when it was under Jack, it wasn't like it is today at all. Discussions on platforms like Reddit and Quora emphasize the NDP's democratic socialism diverges from pure Marxism, but retains elements that some view as radical, such as a strong labor affiliation with wealth redistribution policies. Now, as I go on, the whole thing is it's about the corruption, So the nepotism and favoritism, this actually surfaced on social media, and there were so many people that were claiming that the NDP's leadership on the inside is fostering this whole new radical activism. So what we did is we scrubbed, and from what we found out was from 2015 to 2019, the NDP government, their critics were pointed in health and education sectors. They benefited from party insiders. They had ties to AHS, which is the Alberta Health Services. We had NDP MLAs gorge themselves on the AHS money, and I mean it's money laundering scheme, and it was echoed all over social media, and that was including people that were part of the Trudeau Foundation. So when we look at the lashback from the people, we want audits, right? And that's I said this, and we want to prove, or at least get accountability on what's going on with their finances and what they're doing in the back end. They have to be audited because they are getting money from the public and they are public representatives. So now even more, we have the NDP's push for the DEI, which is just, it's drawing too much criticism, and it's just too much ideological overreach. But they've been very vocal on the supporting transgender youth and opposing all UCP policies. It doesn't matter what it is. So it's just promoting radical agendas. Like, you should be focusing on what matters to your constituency's ridings and the people that need help and resolution to issues, rather than propping up something that's just, oh, we're going to get funding from the federal government and money and move it around and keep propping it up in a provincial level and push it through a municipal level, and it's taking priority, and that's why you see these flags all over the place, crosswalks done. I mean, it's just, it's propaganda. It's the biggest form of propaganda that I've ever seen since World War II. Now, the scandals and internal corruption claims with the ATA, this is a big thing. We know that money is being not accounted for. It needs an audit. I mean, a lot of teachers themselves are saying that they think that there's embezzlement, corruption, and there's, the union is prioritizing political agendas over their own members' interests. So when you have users claiming that the ATA is engaged in money laundering, ripped off teachers through opaque financial practices, I mean, that should be called for investigation. So here's one. They go on strike. Unions pay a strike pay to their members. The teachers did not get a strike pay. In fact, the union ended up spending all its purse and ended up in debt, and now is getting the union members to pay the debt for that protest that they had, that rally for the strike they had at the Ledge, because they flew people in from all over the country to get their numbers. They bussed people in and paid for the buses to get people there because they couldn't get their numbers, right? So imagine that whole demographic of folks who showed up at that rally. Most of them are from other provinces. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it, right? But anyways, it just goes to show the stupidity of it all, and how can I say that, the desperation and desperate tactics they have to resort to make it look like they have general massive support when they don't. I mean, you look at right now in Alberta, the premier has well over 60% of the support from the province, and the NDP is just falling apart, and they just scream at anything, and they're even to the point where I think they're involved in what I'll be talking about next. So when it comes to CUPE, the Canadian Labour Congress, the union corruption, ideological ties, now listen, folks, we all seen it. Fred Hahn, McGowan, Luchazik, all of them, okay? They're all at these rallies for these radical ideologies. I've seen them at different rallies promoting Marxism and communism. People were holding the communist flag and banners for the Communist Party of Canada, and you got politicians from the NDP there. I mean, and union members. So when you look at this and you say, okay, well, with all the evidence that I've seen, I've seen videos. I'm not lying to you folks when I say this. I actually seen videos from people who recorded an event in a couple events in Ontario where it was the Marxist Party event, and they had a bunch of people come out, and NDP and union members were there, like high-profile members, and the stuff went out on social media a couple years ago. Nothing. Nobody said nothing. Right? Nobody said a thing. The traction that those videos got like, I think maybe 10,000 Canadians probably seen it. Well, let's say include Americans and the rest of the world. It was like 10,000 views, 20,000 views tops, when it should have got millions and billions of views, in my opinion anyways. That shows that's corruption. You're not standing up for democracy at that point. You're colluding with nefarious organizations who are causing the problem. Or the way I look at it is this. I think that the money that they're using is funding some of these groups. They're diverting the money somehow, running it through different organizations so that at the end of the day, those organizations are getting the funding. And that's yet to be proven. But I mean, it would make sense. Where are they getting the money? Because I'll tell you this. when you're, let's say, part of the UCP or the APP, for instance, and let's say hypothetically, like, these two parties we're all in different ridings, but each of those ridings, okay, and this is not a hypothetical, this is actual fact, each of those ridings membership, so let's say for Edmonton Strathcona, for instance, well, the riding is dependent on donations and generating revenues through events and making so it can keep the constituency going, right? So we can continue paying for events and doing stuff, and it's all self by the people, and that's what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? So how is it that when constituency bases in each riding have to work harder to generate the revenue to keep themselves alive, and then these guys, the Marxist Party and all these activists, just somehow have all the money in the world? Well, that's where I tell people to go look at the grants and contributions and see how much money the Minister of Social Services, the Minister of Senior Citizens, and the Heritage Minister on the Fed side gave so much millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars into anti-racism, LGBTQ, BIPOC, all this other stuff, funding to amplify and weaponize them. Just saying. But then you look at the politicians who endorsed that to get those policies pushed through so they can get the funding. Here we are today. Millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars wasted on this messaging of subversion and control, and to basically start attacking our own collective. You know, it's interesting that people woke up one morning and just said, "Oh, you just look white. You're racist." You know, because that's basically what happened, right? That's how I look at what happened in the last little bit. So, anyways, next up is, like, I go into the broader connections of the DEI agendas, the globalists, how that's all been worked into, and you can read this on my website. And I call for accountability. Right now, I did do a follow up to this because we did find more information about how the NDP was using, like, their financials. Recently, we just pulled out the financials for Thomas Luchezek based on the donations, and a lot of us are questioning it because he should have listed the charities that he gave money to, and that's not listed. So this question there's like $102,000 unaccounted for. That makes no sense. That we think, and it's just, again, I'm not accusing. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I believe that they've deferred money to other things to attack the independence movement and using it as proxies. That's just where I'm at with it. And until that's proven, well, it's just an opinion, right? Now, this falls in line with what's going on now. I'm going to talk about, because people have been asking me, what do you think about what do you think about what's going on with the Centurion Project and this whole rhetoric of data leaks and data breaches and so on? Now look. I've been using a computer since I was 6 years old. Okay. I got fluent with computers by the age of 9, learning BASIC. And then I started learning how to manipulate telephony, VoIP when it came out, network servers, BBS servers back in the day. But mostly as technology grew and evolved, you adapt to all the new tech. And my thing is always learning about flaws and how we can fix them. I'm going to say this, that this whole debacle that the media is spreading, that's a data breach, for one, is not a data breach. And I'm going to make myself very clear on this. Do I think it's not a big deal? Absolutely not. I think it is a big deal. I think it is detrimental that we not have information by Albertans available to other people, the general public, because it should be confidential, and that's just the way it is, right? When you vote, why do you think you go behind a box and you have a shield-like thing, so it's nice, and that way there nobody can see who you vote for, right? It's confidential. So I'm not saying that the Centurion Project has the voter list. I don't know that. We have yet to see what the results of the investigation will reveal. But the timing of all this and how it's put a really bad mark, where the media is blaming the independence movement and saying that, even they were even trying to insinuate that Mitch Sylvester had something to do with this, and Mitch flat out told them no, like we didn't want nothing to do with what David Parker had to offer, because they just we're doing our own thing, right? And that's the thing, when you're in a role like that and you're mobilizing hundreds of thousands of Albertans, you're gonna have people coming up to you with their ideas and try and say they want to help you, and because they want to, whatever. But in my opinion, I think something more nefarious is going on here, right? Because of the fact that we now found out that the NDP is somehow involved, that Thomas Luchesic might be involved, that, when I went to the Edmonton event, I knew that there was something being set up. I helped organize the Freedom Convoy. I helped mobilize thousands, if not tens of thousands, of protesters in Ontario to rally at different events. I mean, so I'm all aware about infiltration and provocateurs and all this stuff. I've actually, that was something that I paid attention to the most. Okay, to secure and protect us as advocates and activists and Canadians and all of us, so that we can fairly participate in a democratic process without any interruption, or at least try to avoid the unnecessary that will cause it to implode, to protect us, right? I've always been about protecting us. So my thing is, when I'm seeing this event at Edmonton, the first red flag was Global News was there. They never come to our events, ever. Mainstream media doesn't care. And all of a sudden, they show up to that one. And as I'm standing there, there was a couple content creators who are always constantly berating us online on their platforms. And they're there. And I'm laughing because I'm like, something's up. There is something definitely going to happen. Can't figure it out yet. So then one of my colleagues says, hey Jay, let's go outside for a smoke. Okay. So we're outside having a cigarette, and a couple more of my friends come out, and we're standing there, and next thing you know, 7 police cars show up with the staff sergeant and the Elections Alberta official to hand a cease and desist personally to David Parker and the Centurion Project. And I read the paper that the officer had in his hand, and it basically was based on an allegation that was concerning to him, that required them to investigate an immediate takedown of this list that they potentially had. So when I see all this go down, I'm like, this is set up 100%. But what's really more important to back this up is that other content creators, like my bro Berta Proud Dad, Lawrence, makes a video yesterday, and he sends it to me, and he's like, Jay, he's like, we got them, man. And at the end of the clip, there's Nenshi up on a podium basically admitting that he had his plants there at that Edmonton event. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't agree with anybody having that list where people can visibly look up other people's names. I think that is a violation of privacy. I don't know what's going on between Cam Davies, the Republican Party of Alberta, and David Parker. I have no idea, and I don't want to know. I would rather, my thing is, I'm taking a role to sit back and let it play out. Let's see what happens and find that the truth is going to come out. And when the truth comes out, then at that point, then we can, maybe express an opinion or whatever. So as I see it right now, I just believe that there is something nefarious going on between Thomas Luchesic, Nenshi, somebody on our side, to warrant this smear campaign on the hard work that volunteers, canvassers, the administration have done in the last couple months to get our signatures so we can get them certified. It's like they're throwing everything at us. And if they can't throw it at us, they're fabricating a smear campaign to make us look bad. And that's what I see right now, in my opinion. So until we find out the results of what happened with the whole entire debacle, I'm asking everybody to just reserve your judgment. We need to take a step back and wait and see how this plays out, and we'll find out what the truth is. The truth will come out on this whole issue, and it's going to come out in the next, it's not going to be long. I give it a few more days, and we are going to know what really happened. Now, I'm going to hold back my personal opinions and reservations on the issue, because being somebody that's been involved in technology and doing a lot of things, I see things differently, and I have my own opinion, and I've discussed it with a couple people who agree with me, and we all are on the same page about it. So we're just going to let it play out to see if it's true or not. But I will say this. If you have a database of information and you're trying to put it out there so that you can have other people sign up and they can search for their friend's name and claim them, and they're not signed up to that site, okay, I think that's a breach of privacy. If you're going to have a database where people sign up and search for each other, then it should be a database of all the individuals who solely subscribed and opted in. And I believe that there's a law on the Privacy Act about that. It's a mandatory opt-in. I don't know exactly what went on with this app, because I'll be honest with you folks, I never installed it on my phone. I never had the intent to install it, because I went with my gut feeling, like Mitch Silvestri said. And my gut told me that something's just strange. That's all. It wasn't that it was nefarious feeling or anything like that. It was just my gut saying no, I don't think this is a good idea. So for those of you out there who are seeking to make an app, I'm just going to leave you with this. Study the Privacy Act. Know the law. And understand that the only way you can make an app like that work in this country and in Alberta is to make sure that everybody that is using the app has opted in to allow other users to fish them on the database that they're all opting in with. It sucks that these laws are in place like this. It wasn't like this before, because you look at Facebook, right? You could sign up to Facebook and look up somebody and find them, and there's no law against that. But the thing is everybody that's on the platform opted in, and they understand that social media platform, so the only way around this, okay, if you're going to do this, folks, if you want to create a database like this, you're going to have to make a social media platform, period. That's it. You can make a social media app and use it as a tool to maybe, somehow work it. But that's the only way you're going to do it. And yeah. So basically making an app that is for whoever's political party and whatever. I'm sure the NDP and the Liberals do have an app. I'm not 100% sure about that. But I mean, the idea is right. But at the same time, we have to respect people's privacy. So the way I look at it, do I feel that the Privacy Act has been breached on this debacle? I don't know, because I haven't seen it. So until someone can show, it's down now. Like he took it offline. So if somebody was to show me how it actually worked on the app and stuff, then I can say, okay, I can actually determine from that point as an expert, somebody who's, I know a lot about this. I can determine it actually violates the act or not. But right now, it's law enforcement that's going to dictate with Elections Alberta to find out if there was some type of nefarious dealings going on. And we'll let them finish their investigation and see what happens. I'm not commenting. I'm not going to sit there and say this guy's bad, that guy's bad, this guy should shut up, that guy should shut up, because I've been seeing that on X. And I'm just going to say this again, folks. Look at every time that Canadians or Alberta or anybody in this country rises up against the system, there's always something going against them. There's always something what they're resisting the government's going to throw at them. And sometimes it creates that group to disperse. It creates infighting, because they'll send their infiltrators, they'll send their provocateurs, they will send trolls to upset the leaders to try and get a reaction. So what I've learned over the last 10 years protesting is to always keep it together. Make sure that we all understand the scope of what we're up against, of the propaganda, the counter-propaganda that's going to come towards us, the provocateurs, the infiltration, the lies that they're going to present to try and disrupt our movement, our group, and divide us. So I just say this. The leaders that you've been following, that you have faith in, are the leaders that will continue to deliver the message strongly. And that's, so stay on point is what I'm trying to say. Don't let those distractions distract us to divide us. Because they've divided the entire country They put us in little boxes, and categorized us. And that's the problem with our collective, of what the system has done to us. And they used every mechanism at their disposal, even if it was to fund people, non-for-profit groups, to do it, to dox us, to do all these things, you know. Now, lastly, I'll leave you with this. It was a great show. Follow me on all our social medias. I ask everybody to subscribe to our YouTube. We're really trying to build up our YouTube page right now. And we're going to deliver more great content. So this is my first comeback video podcast. And I'm hoping to improve it. So I just, I was going to work on a little bit more today. But what I wanted to do today is just come out and just be real with you. And talk to you about like how I feel, what I think we should be doing, my own perspective of it, and see if people understand or agree with me on what we should be doing. Now the other thing too is before I go, one last thing is I want to reach out to the podcasters and the content creators that are like-minded. I would like to. My friends and I are wanting to put together a live broadcast with all of us, and not remotely. We have some places where we have the ability to host just us, the content creators, in one room, and make it an interactive live broadcast. So if you guys are interested in coming on and doing this with us, reach out to me, Jason at albertaradios.ca. If you know Tyson Rolovich, get a hold of Tyson. Tyson's working with me on this as well. So far, we have a couple people that are on board, and we're not going to mention names yet, but we're reaching out to all content creators that are like-minded folks who support the Alberta Independence, who are also UCP supporters, APP supporters, but all with that whole mindset that it's Alberta first. And we'd like to get you on in a room with us and do a live broadcast presentation with all of us in there, in the same room, instead of in each different screen, right? And really have some fun. So reach out to me. And for everybody else watching, don't forget, you can tune in to my radio stream. We have a 24/7 online radio, albertaradio.ca. You just go to that website, hit the play button, and you are tuned in. If you want to do shout outs, requests, because we are going to be I am adjusting the playlist that's on the station to feature more music, and and with advertising and stuff from our local businesses. So once we get that up and running, right now what I'm asking folks is, if you know an artist, like, it doesn't matter, any music you like. I have a huge, massive collection I've curated over the years. I probably have one of the biggest music collections in this country. Send me a request and we'll put it up, and make sure you want to dedicate it to somebody who's getting married, somebody who's having a kid, anything like that. My birthday, doesn't matter. Send that to me and we will put that on my show. I'd like to bring that content and bring a little bit more livelihood of community on what we're doing here. And for content creators, if you would allow me, just reach out to me. And I'm asking this: if you'd like your show on Alberta Radio, what I do is I curate your videos, I turn them into MP3s, and then I schedule you into general rotation so that your show plays on my stream, and it's some just extra plays, and our listeners tune in, and we're all sharing our content together. So that's what I'm trying to do. I hope you guys bite on that and work together. Anyways, that's it for now. God bless Alberta, and thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And I just want to say this: Alberta, I love you so much. You guys have shown me so much love since I've come home. I'm absolutely humbled. And especially the last 2 weeks, it's just really opened my eyes and changed a lot of how I think, my outlook on stuff. And you've reestablished that light in me to fight harder and to work for the people. So I just want to thank every one of you for doing that for me, because I really needed that. I was in a dark place for a while and I just didn't tell anybody. But really, what really changed it all was the rally on Monday. When we handed in those petitions, meeting all you folks and seeing the smile on everybody's faces, seeing the kids out, and you know what I mean, that truly awakened me. So I'm with you 100%. I want to run for office, and I want to be mandated by you, the people. And I don't care what parts of any corner you are from Alberta. I want to hear your concerns. And if you don't believe in me, let me earn your vote. So we have to have a discussion. So just contact me, email me, Jason at Alberta Radio. Let's have a civil conversation and see, what we can do to help you, or address the issues that you have a concern with, because I'm all about solutions for everyone, not just for one side, because that's what true democracy is, and that's how we're going to balance our society again. So if we can get there, we'll be the most advanced, best province in the entire world to lead the people, and that's what I'm striving for. So have a great day, everybody. Much love. I'm Jason LaFosse, and this is the Alberta Radio Show, and I will leave you with my track again. Here we go.
We are the digital gods. We are the digital gods. We are the